Good evening, everyone. I am Anjali Kumari. On behalf of Nyaya Shastra, I welcome you all to this workshop on the right to a healthy environment and overview of environmental protection laws. Today, on World Environment Day, let's remember that protecting our planet is not a choice, it's a responsibility. Small actions like saving water, planting trees, and reducing plastic can lead to a greener, healthier future for all. Today we have with us Dr. Monika Bhardwaj, Assistant Professor of Law at the Law School University of Jammu. We welcome you, ma'am. Now I request you, ma'am, to commence this workshop.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you for the introduction. A very good afternoon to everyone, and happy World's Environment Day. Before we start uh, with this webinar, I would like to ask you people that why this June 5th is celebrated as World's Environment Day. Yes, anyone? Why 5th of June is celebrated as World's Environment Day? No one? Okay. So June 5th is celebrated as World's Environment Day because it commemorates the start of United Nations Conference on the Human Environment in Stockholm in 1972. And this landmark event, it was considered the world's first environmental summit, which brought together government officials, scientists, and environmental activists just to discuss the growing concerns about the degradation of the environment. And then this United Nations General Assembly, it designated June 5th as the World's Environment Day. Now, I would like to present my PPT. Just a second. Is it visible? Uh, Anjali, is it visible? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. Okay. So the topic of discussion today is the right to a healthy environment and overview of the environmental protection laws. Let's start. Uh, so in this discussion, we will start with the introduction, then the background regarding this topic, and then the concerns at international level and national level, then right to live in healthy environment, and obviously the case laws are there which we will discuss. So the next is uh, what do we mean by this environment? Environment, when we in a simple language, environment means the surroundings, or you can say environment. It is in Sanskrit. It is pasyavaran, which literally means the pariavaran. That is the external covering or a thing enriching or encompassing the human existence. That is the paryavaran. But when we talk about the Legislation Environment Protection Act, that is EPA 1986, their section 2A of the act, it defines the environment, which includes water, air, and land, and the interrelationship which exists among and between the water, air, land, and human beings, other living creatures, plants, microorganisms, and property. The environment has been defined as the outer physical and biological system in which man and organism live as a whole, a complicated one with many interacting components. Now there is a environment, and obviously there is a some ancient background in the in Indian context. So the concept of this plant more trees or grow more trees was there, which can be well traced as far back as the Rig Veda. Even Yajurved and Samved highlights the importance of ensuring and maintaining sustainable, clear, and healthy environment. The sages of the Atharvaved chanted, "What of thee I dig out? Let that quickly grow over. Let me not hit thy vital or the hurt." And all of us know that in many Vedas, it is uh, written that one tree is equal to 10 suns. In some Vedas, it is written that one tree is equal to 100 suns. So, beside this, the concept of Panch Bhuta is there, where the Hindu concept of Panch Bhuta is very much relevant because land, water, air, and energy and space constitute the basic elements of living organisms. So, all these must remain ample to sustain. So, we can say that the all these that the air, then land, water, energy, and space all should be there. All are of much importance. Uh, Even the Hindu rishis of Vedic and Upanishadic era instructed man to show reverence for the presence of divinity in nature. Therefore, trees like people, animals, cow, birds, Garud, hill, mountains, and river Ganga are worshipped as a symbol of reverence to these representative samples of nature. Many verses in Rig Veda and Atharva Ved have been devoted to the praise of the Lord Surya, Vayu Devta, then Lord of Vayu Devta, which is also known as Lord of Air, and Agni Devta, which is Lord of Fire. Besides this, Varuna is the Lord of Water, Prithvi Mata, Mother of Earth, Vanya Devi, that is the goddess of forest. So, therefore, cutting of trees, polluting air, water, land were regarded as sins, as elements of nature were to be respected and regarded as the gods and goddesses. So, we must worship all this. Then there are some concerns are there at the national level as well as the international level. And the first attempt of international concern for environment, it began with the formation of the American Fisheries Society in 1870, which was extended in 1902, and then it was renamed as the International Association of Games, Fish and Conservation Commission. Secondly, the approach of international law generally to environmental problems is well illustrated by the two international arbitration. First one in the case of Bering's Seals arbitration, and the other case was the trail smelter arbitration between the US and Canada. From these beginnings, an extensive body on international treaty law has emerged, together with the more tentative emergence of new norms of customary international environment law, like Stockholm Conference 1972. So, Stockholm Conference 1972, this conference considered the needs of the common outlook and for common principles to inspire and guide the people of the world in preservation and enhancement of human environment. Basically, this conference proclaims that man is both the creator and molder of his environment. It is the man who can create and who can mold the environment and the surroundings around himself. So, it contained basically 26 principles, placed environmental issues at the forefront of the international concerns, and marked the start of a dialogue between industrialized and developing countries on the link between the economic growth, the pollution of air, water, and oceans, and the well-being of the people around the world. So basically, this conference it was concerned with various environmental issues. Then the second in the list is the Brundtland Commission 1987, which is also known as Brundtland Report. So, just to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Stockholm Conference, 105 nations gathered at Nairobi from May 10 to May 18, 1982, and adopted this Nairobi Declaration. The decision was taken for the creation of a special commission to propose long term environmental strategies for achieving sustainable development to year 2000 and beyond. According to this report, sustainable development is that development which meets the need of present generation without compromising or without negotiating the needs of the future generation to meet their own needs. And the concept of this sustainable development, it contains within two key concepts. The first one is the concept needs, in particular, the essential needs of the world's poor, to which overriding pointly should be there. Second, the idea of the limitation imposed by the state of the technology and social organizations on the environment, ability to meet present and future generation. Then next was the Montreal Protocol 1987, which is also known as the Ozone Treaty. So it came into force from January 1st, 1989, and aimed at the elimination of the ozone depleting substances like chlorofluorocarbon. It was signed by 48 nations worldwide. The next is Earth Summit 1992. Earth Summit 1992, it is the biggest international conference organized by United Nations organization and attended by 166 countries. The United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, yielding the five documents signed by the heads of the participated states. And these documents are: number one is the Rio Declaration, second is the Treaty on Climate Change, including the Kyoto Protocol, third is the Convention on Biodiversity 1992, fourth is the Forest Principle, and fifth is the Agenda 21. Now, the Rio Declaration, it consists of 26 principles regarding the protection of the environment, regarding international, intergenerational equity. So the second is the Treaty on Climate Change, which is based on the protection of the climate and the global warming. Then Convention on Biodiversity, which was established, which was 1992, and the main three objectives of this convention are: first one is the conservation of the biodiversity, and the second is the sustainable use of biological resources, then third is the fair and equitable sharing of the products made from the genetic resources. Then, beside this, Agenda 21 is there, and which is a legally binding document including social and economic dimensions and conservation and management of resources for the development. Beside this, strengthening role of the major groups and means of implementations was also there. Then United Nations World Summit on Sustainable Development 2002. Now, it was convened in Johannesburg in 2002 to mark the 10th anniversary of the Earth Summit and to put sustainable development back on the global agenda. The key resolution of summit are energy, water, then agriculture, uh, then agriculture, health, biodiversity, climate change, and poverty. Besides this, we have various concerns regarding the protection and conservation of the environment at national level, and when we talk about this national concerns, our constitution is at the number one, because Indian constitution is the first constitution of the world which contains the provisions regarding the protection of the environment. No doubt अभी तो और बहुत सारी countries ने इनको adopt कर लिया है, but Indian constitution is the first constitution, where we have article 47, 48 and 49, which contains directives to the government. India was one of these few countries that has provided constitutional safeguards to preservation of environment. Article 48A, 51A, G, and entries in the legislative list are inserted in the Constitution of India. Then Indian Forest Act 1927 is there, and the act gives the states jurisdiction over the administration of the forest, and on the basis of degree of this control exercisable in them. So these forests, under this act, forests are classified into four categories, and these categories are: number one is reserved forest, number two is village forest, Number 3 is protected forest, and number 4 is the non-government forest. Then the next in the list is the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, which provides for the state wildlife advisory boards regulations for hunting wild animals and birds, establishment of sanctuaries and national parks, regulations for the trade in the world, in the this regulation of the trade in the wild animals, then animal products, trophies, and judicially imposed penalties for violating the act. So, in case of any contravention with the provisions of the Wildlife Protection Act, some penalties are there. So, whosoever going to violate the principle, the provisions which are there, so penalties are there. Then Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974 is there, which was passed with the aim of prevention, control, and abatement of water pollution, and of course of restoring the wholesomeness of water quality. The act provides for the central board at national level and state boards at national level for the prevention and control of the water pollution, and impose penalties in case of any violations of the provisions which are embedded in the act. Beside this, Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 is there, which was enacted by the Parliament under Article 253 of the Constitution of India in order to implement the decisions which are taken at United Nations Conference on Human Environment, which was held at Stockholm in 1972. So it was decided to take appropriate steps for preservation and to improve the quality of the air. And the main objectives of this act, that is the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, are: number one is to provide for prevention, control, and abatement of air pollution. Number two is to provide for establishment of center and state boards. Number three is to confer on such boards powers and assigning to such boards functions relating thereto. Then Environment Protection Act 1986, which is said to be an umbrella legislation and passed to provide framework for the central government towards the coordination of activities of various center and state agencies established under the previous laws such as the Water Act, Air Act, etc. And the scope of this Environment Protection Act is to empower the central government to take all the measures as it deems necessary or expedient for the purpose of protecting and improving the quality of the environment and preventing, controlling, and abating the environmental pollution. The objectives behind Environment Protection Act are: number one is the protection of the environment. Number two is the improvement of the environment, including the water quality and the air quality. Number three is the prevention of hazards to human beings and other living creatures. Act also provides for the penalties who violates the provisions of the act. Then Biodiversity Act 2002 is there, and the primary aim of the act is to provide for the conservation of the biodiversity, sustainable use of its components, and fair and equitable sharings of the benefits which may arise out of the use of the biological resources. Then the act, that is the Biodiversity Act, it envisages three tier structures in order to regulate the access to biological resources. Uh, and these three tier structure includes NBA, that is National Biodiversity Authority at national level, then SBB, that is State Biodiversity Boards at state level, and BMC, that is Biodiversity Management Committee at the district level. So the Act provides these authorities with special funds and a separate budget in order to carry out any research project dealing with the biological natural resources of the country. And obviously, penalties are there in case of any violation. Beside this, chapter 14 of IPC, containing sections 268 to 294, which deals with offences affecting the public health, safety, convenience, then decency and morals. And the sole object of this chapter is to safeguard the public health, safety, and convenience by causing those acts punishable which make environment polluted, or which acts degrade the quality of the environment, or which threaten the life of the people. So under section 426, section 430, 431, and 432 of the IPC, general pollution caused by mischief can be controlled as the same is punishable. Then next is the, now come to the main topic, that is right to live in a healthy environment. Now, environmental right is the right to a healthy environment, and environmental rights denote procedural rights that are found in international rights instruments and are being applied to seek redress for the environmental issues. The right to a healthy environment, on the other hand, denotes the identification of a separate independent human rights, not independent on the existing protected rights recognized in the international covenant. So it is very much clear that right to live in a healthy environment is fundamental right. So the right to a healthy environment, it is a recognized human rights and supported by both human rights and environmental organizations. It's about protecting the ecological systems, and that supports human health and well-being. So this right is increasingly recognized legally, with 155 states having established legal recognition of it, including their regional treaties, constitutions, and environmental legislations. Even the United Nations Human Rights Council and the General Assembly have passed various resolutions which recognize healthy environment as a human right. Besides this, the right to a healthy environment is becoming increasingly enshrined in national constitutions and environment and various environmental laws, with many countries incorporating it into their legal frameworks. Then the right aims to protect the natural environment and the ecological systems that provide essential resources for human health. Then the right to a healthy environment also addresses uh, issues of environmental justice, and beside this, ensuring that marginalized communities are not disproportionately affected by the environmental degradation. Then the United Nations Human Rights Council and General Assembly both have adopted resolution which recognize the right to a healthy environment. Many countries have incorporated the right to a healthy environment into their constitutions, and the glaring example is the Constitution of Portugal in 1976, which adopted this concept. So, many countries have enacted laws to protect the environment and ensure the right to a healthy environment. The right to a healthy environment has been used in legal cases and litigations related to climate change and other environment issues. And in a sense, the right to a healthy environment is basically growing recognition of the interconnectedness between the human well-being and the environment, and it is being increasingly supported by various legal and policy frameworks worldwide. Then, what is the background and international efforts? The concept of human rights in general, it emerged after the Second World War, that is in 1939 to in between 45. But the right to a healthy environment as one of those human rights was never a priority. The right to a clean environment, rooted in the 1972 Stockholm Declaration, and it was popularly known as the Magna Carta of the Human Environment. It contained various principles and recommendations for environmental policy. Caring for the 1991 and the Earth Summit of 1992 also declared that human beings are entitled to a healthy and productive life in harmony with the nature. The human's right to a healthy environment brings together the environmental dimensions of civil, cultural, economic, political, and social rights, and protects the core elements of natural environment that enables a life of dignity. Recently, the United Nations Human Rights Council voted for recognizing a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment as a universal human right. A healthy environment is an essential aspect of the right to life, not only for the human beings but also for animals on the planet. Violation, therefore, of the right to a healthy environment is potentially a violation of the basic right to life. Beside this, so national scenario regarding the right to life, obviously Article 21 of the Constitution of India, which speaks regarding right to life. Now, this right to life does not mean to live a life like an animal, but it means right to life with dignity and right to live in a healthy environment. Even in a recent judgment, Supreme Court provide this right, that right even animals have the right to life. So animals are also included in the category of this Article 21. Beside this, Article 48A and 51AG of the Constitution of India speaks regarding the protection of the environment, and it empowers the and it provides that it is the duty of the state as well as the duty of the citizen to protect and improve the environment. Then various legislations are there regarding the protection of the environment, and these are the Water Act which, and Air Act. We already discussed the Water Act and Air Act. Then Environment Protection Act is there. Then National Green Tribunal 2010 is there. Now the courts were overburdened because courts already has so many cases, civil cases, criminal cases. So just in order to dispose of the matters relating to environment protection and to provide the compensation, speedy compensation to the victims of environmental degradation, this act, the parliament enacted this act, that is NGT Act 2010. So National Green Tribunal was established by the central government in 2010 just to dispose of the cases relating to environment protection in a speedy manner. Then environmental principles are there, including sustainable development, precautionary principles, then polluter pay principles, then doctrine of public trust. So various principles regarding environmental protections are there. Then sustainable development, concept of this sustainable development and its goals are there. When we talk about this sustainable development, it is the development, as we already discussed, it is the development which meet the need of present generation without compromising the needs of the future generation. So, environment, this concept, the concept of this sustainable development, it was coined for the first time by the IUCN in 1980 in its World Conservation Strategy. Sustainable development was also discussed in Rio Declaration on Environment and Development in 1992. Beside this, sustainable development, it has three main aims. Number one is economic, number two is ecological, and third is the social. So the first aim is the economic, which means to attain the balanced ground. Second is ecological, that is to preserve the ecosystem. And the third is the social, which guard equal access to resources to all the human beings, to all the human activities. Then the term sustainable development, it acquired legal status as it has its origin in treaties at international level also. In Sachidanand Pandey versus State of West Bengal, the Supreme Court of India was required to answer what would be its role when it is confronted with policy matters and fundamental duties regarding the environment. It was observed that when the court is called upon to give effect to the directive principles and the fundamental fundamental duties, Article 48A and Article 51 AG, the court is not to shrug its shoulder and say that priorities are a matter of policy, and so it is a matter of policy making authority. And when we talk about the various salient features of sustainable development, so these features are 8 in number. First is intergenerational equity, then use and conservation of natural resources, the protection of the environment, the precautionary principle, the polluter pay principle, obligation to assist and cooperate, eradication of poverty, financial assistance to developing countries. The objective laid down in the Brundtland report are dividing the growth, changing the quality of the growth, then meeting essential needs of all in terms of this job, then food, energy, water, sanitation, ensuring a sustainable development, then conserving and enhancing the resource base, reorienting technology, managing the environment. Then what was the need for the sustainable development? Sustainable development, these are the features. So sustainable development is essential in order to address some issues like just to limit or to prevent the environmental degradation, then to ensure a safe human life, then to protect the exploitation of technology and in order to find the alternative sources, then to check the overexploitation and wastage of natural resources, and to regenerate the renewable energy resources. When we talk regarding the components of sustainable development, these are three number. Social components includes workers, health and safety, impact on local communities, quality of air, benefits to disadvantaged groups. Then economic components, creation for new markets and opportunities for the growth, then cost reduction through efficiency and improvements and reduce energy and raw material inputs. Then environmental components, which includes reduce the waste, effluent generation, then emissions into environment, reduce impact on human health, use of renewable raw material, elimination of toxic substance from the environment. Then Agenda 21 was obviously the part of this, and it is a non-binding action plan of the United Nations with regard to the sustainable development. So it is a product of the Earth Summit, which was held in Rio, that is in Brazil in 1992. Agenda 21 is basically a 350-page document. Conservation and management of resources for development, social and economic dimensions, strengthening the role of groups was the main agenda of this Agenda 21. Then we have Millennium Development Goals, known as MDGs, which are eight in number. And the MDG were eight international development goals for the year 2015 that had been established following the Millennium Summit of United Nations in 2000. And these are: number one, to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger; number two, to achieve universal primary education; number three, to promote gender equality and to empower the women; number four, to reduce the child mortality; number five is to improve the maternal health; number six, to combat with the diseases like HIV, AIDS, and malaria; number seven, to ensure the environmental sustainability; and number eight is to develop a global partnership for the development. Beside this, we have SDGs that which are 17 in numbers. So SDGs, Sustainable Development Goal. SDGs are a collection of 17 goals set by the United Nations, including no poverty, zero hunger, then good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, then decent work and economic growth, industry innovations and infrastructures, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumptions and production, climate change, life below the water, life on the land, peace, justice, and strong institutions and partnerships for the goals. Even National Action Plan on Sustainable Development Goals in India is there, where Niti Aayog, the government of India's premier think tank, has been entrusted with the task of coordinating the SDGs. So they have adopted a government-wide approach to sustainable development, emphasizing the interconnected nature of the sustainable development goals across the economic, social, and environmental pillars. State governments have been advised to undertake a similar mapping scheme. State governments are the keys to India's progress on the Sustainable Development Goal agenda, as they are the best place to put people first and to ensuring that no one is left behind. Many of the group's flagships programs such as Swachh Bharat, Make in India, Skill India and Digital India are at the core of the Sustainable Development Goals. On December 30th, 2019, Niti Aayog released the second edition of Sustainable Development Goals India, which comprehensively documents the progress which was made by India states and Union territories towards achieving the 2030 this Sustainable Development Goals target. Then next slide. What do we know about the resolution? So, every person on the planet has the right to live in a healthy environment. Secondly, climate change and environmental degradation are the most critical threats awaiting humanity in the future. Then it demonstrates that the member states can unite in the collective fight against the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. So we are combating with these three crises: climate change, biodiversity loss, and the pollution. These are the hot topics. Then the declaration adopted by over 160 United Nations member nation, including India, is not legally binding, but it will encourage the countries to incorporate the right to a healthy environment in national constitutions and regional treaties. Benefits. Now, what are the benefits? It will help to reduce environmental injustice and protection gaps. Obviously, it will fill the lacunas, loopholes which are there. Then, beside this, it can empower the people, especially those in vulnerable situations, including environmental human rights defenders, children's, then youth, women, and indigenous people. Then this right access to clean, healthy environment was not included in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948. And this is a historic resolution that will change the very nature of the international human rights law. It is the most important right. Then various case laws are there. Uh, and MC Mehta, first one is the MC Mehta versus Union of India, where directions to remove environmental illiteracy were given. Cinema halls, video parlors to exhibit not less than 2 slides on environment prepared by the Ministry of the Environment. Doordarshan and All India Radio to allot at least 5 to 7 minutes daily for interesting programs on environment. Beside this, environment be made a compulsory subject in a graded way in school, and colleges and universities shall prescribe a course for the same. That's why environment law is introduced in various uh, subjects of 12th standard. And I think the introduction of this subject in graduation courses is also in the pipeline. The next case is MC Mehta versus Kamalnath, where Supreme Court made it crystal clear that any disturbance of basic environmental elements, namely air, water, and soil, which are necessary for life, would be hazardous to life and cannot be polluted. In this case, there was a hotel in Himachal which was discharging effluents into the river and hence causing disturbance to the aquatic life and water sanitation of the river. Then number three is the RLE Kendra case, which is also known as the Doon Valley case or Dehradun case. So rural litigation and entitlement Kendra versus state of UP, where limestone mining, which denuded Missouri hills of trees and forest cover and accumulated soil erosion resulting in the blockage of underground water channels were banned. Then preventing pollution of Ganga and Yamuna in 1995. Under the Environmental Protection Act 1986, The Supreme Court asked for the removal of polluting all the industries which were settled on the bank of the holy river Ganga in Kanpur, and Hooghly in Calcutta, and of Yamuna in Delhi. Besides this, you people also heard about the case of this Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Art of Living case. Have you? No response. Then MC Mehta versus Union of India. This case is also famous as the Taj trapezium case, in which industries were asked to shift from the use of coal to the natural gases. For those who cannot, will have to stop the functioning, and obviously the alternative sites were provided these peoples in order to shift their industries. Then P.A. Yakkar versus Superintendent of Police, Kottayam. In this case, the Kerala High Court held that the freedom of speech does not include freedom to use the loudspeakers or sound amplifiers to cause noise pollution and risk to the human health. Then Murli as Deora versus Union of India, where the Supreme Court of India banned smoking in by uh, public places by ruling that non-smokers cannot be compelled to be helpless victims of the air pollution. Now, what is the conclusion? The continuing deterioration of this Earth's ecological reserves poses a serious threat to the pollution-free environment. Number two, Number two is one of the most complex challenges facing our generation is to maintain a workable synergy between the sustainable economic development and pollution free environment. The factors which have contributed most directly to the excessive pressure on the uh, government, sorry, pressure on the environment and natural resources in the India are: number one, a doubling of the region's population over the past 4 decades, then a tripling of economic output, and the persistent of the poverty. Now, what can be done? What can be done in order to protect our the environment? Yes, anyone? But what can be done? You can reduce single-use plastics and opt for this reusable alternatives. Use energy efficient appliances and turn off the lights when not in use. You may, you not may, you can, you have to. You conserve water and reduce the food waste. Then use public transport, walk or bike for shorter trips. Buy locally sourced and seasonal products. Sport eco-friendly products. So this is all what we can do. What we can, you can say, what we can contribute in order to protect the environment from degradation. So we can say that save today for the tomorrow. So this is all about my topic and my discussion. So thank you so much. In case if you want to ask anything, the house is open. Yes, anyone? No. In case if you don't want to ask questions here, you can forward or drop a mail to me. My email ID is birdmona rediffmail.com. Birdmona at the rate of rediffmail.com.
Thank you, ma'am, for taking the time to share your valuable insights with us. Your expertise was truly enlightening. Thank you for breaking down complex concepts into easily understandable parts. We are grateful for your patience and willingness to answer the questions. Your session has definitely enhanced the understanding of the subject. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you.